Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Peteman Reviews. Today we're going to talk about the classics release of Thunderwing, namely this toy here. However, before we get on to this one in great detail, we'll just do a quick comparison with the original one. More than any other release that I've seen, the classics release is really an homage of the original. So much so that this version, see, it's got the delta wings at the front and the delta wings at the rear. What's quite a nice progression as well, whereas this makes use of stickers for the orange effect here and for the cockpit here. This goes ahead and uses different coloured plastics, and the detail here is really very good. You can see there's quite clearly a seat and a control port, and you see it actually has different translucent plastics for it. The wing shape on the original, which bends quite nicely like that, is followed through in the classics release. In fact, they've even gone so far as here you had the arms and the hands here, which is followed through on the classics. So you've got the arm here, quite obvious. Frankly, I'm a little disappointed they did that, because you'd like to think they could have done more with it to combine the arm into the plane. I know they put some stickers on here so it's not so obvious from this view, but they've kind of stuck true to the original, but they've gone a little bit too far, in my view. Now the original, of course, this front bit here is a little robot that transforms. This even has a detachable front part as well, in homage of this bit. However, this bit doesn't transform at all, but it's totally unnecessary. It does nothing other than replicate this. It doesn't form any part of the other part of Thunderwing's transformation, and the plane looks fine without it as it does with it. But it's a really nice little touch that they went to the effort to put this little mini detachable. It looks more like a spacecraft than a plane, or maybe a drone, but they went to the effort to put this on just so that it matched the original. So that's a really nice touch for that. So we'll just take the original plane away for a moment, and now we'll go over this one in a bit more detail. It's got really nice detailing on here with the fins, the little intakes. You've got wheels, sorry, you've got wheels that even flip in and out as needed. Now on here with that detached, that does look a bit odd, I'll grant you. That's where you do need to have the little plane attached, because then the wheel slots nicely in there to lock it in place as well. But it's a great looking toy. The missiles do work, they are quite strong, so if I just put my hand here and then fire it, see, it quite clearly goes flying off. They're quite big missiles, obviously in safety orange. What's actually quite good with the missiles is, if I just angle this so you get enough of a light so you can see, it actually has little jet engines on the back. So if we just take off one of the missiles here, take out the missile, it's actually got little missiles mounted on the back on there, which don't do anything, they're just there for show, and a jet engine here effectively to give it one huge missile, but also a jet as well. So that's quite a cool piece to it. Oops, I accidentally fired that missile. They are quite sensitive. You've only got a very thin trigger here to set them off, so you do have to be a little bit careful how you hold them. Okay, so we'll transform him now. Obviously, he's not a pretender. As far as I'm aware, their classics and indeed Masterpiece have never released a pretender. I kind of wish they would, because it'd be quite nice to see an updated Masterpiece pretender version of Thunderwing. However, the classics release does a pretty good job by itself. Excuse me. So, to begin with, we need to start off with the wings. So they do just slide apart like this, as you can see. These parts flatten down, and then the whole assembly we're just going to flip up like that. There is a little bit more to it than that, but I'm just going to do that to begin with. Now these are the legs, bend like that, just to put them like that. We're then going to move this part down here. This actually becomes a chest, and as you can see, you've got the head under there. Okay, now this whole rear part flips up and around like so, and the wings will then just slot under there. You can actually, I think I probably need to put those that side, because then it slits flush with the back there, and you can pop that down like so. Now, he looks fairly short like this, doesn't he? And you'd be right, he is very short, because actually the whole front panel lifts up here, much like it would if it were a Pretender. It's not. So rather than storing a robot inside the shell, he stores his legs. That flips down, slots back on there. You've got the legs like that, and then the feet are these engines here, which just open until they become almost claws. And he's got his samurai. They're quite common, these, actually, as we said, kind of samurai pieces. He's there, the arms do move around, and we have Thunderwing. Note the glowing eyes as well when you hold him up to the light source. Now, weapon-wise, you've got some options here. He will hold one weapon in each hand as well, or the weapons do actually combine together. So you see you've got two little slots there and two little slats there, so they will actually, you have to be careful not to set them off, but they will actually combine into one gun like so. A little bit reminiscent of his Cyclone cannon. Annoyingly, neither the original nor the new release, the Classics release, come with a Cyclone cannon, which is meant to be his signature weapon from the comics, so that's a bit annoying. So you can combine the guns together into one gun, or, and this is the version we'll do, model it after the IDW release and insert the missiles effectively as they were in jet mode, like so. And there we have Thunderwing. Now this is very much based on the IDW Stormbringer release of Thunderwing. As you can see, it's got a very similar face. Obviously they've moulded the release after the head after the original base. Even more the Stormbringer mould with the head, and the whole styling of him through to the claws, the clawed feet and everything is very much the IDW release. It looks really good as well, doesn't it? Height-wise, he fits very, very well with the Titans Return series. You know, if I just move him back a little bit, there we are, you get a bit better idea, a bit more light on them. So he fits very well with the Titans Return series. From head to head, he's not quite as tall as someone like Hardhead, though with all the, I suppose, the kibble on the back, it does make him appear larger than he actually is. But scale-wise, he scales pretty well. Perhaps he could do with being a little bit larger. In terms of his original, he also scales quite well, so I'm just going to take Hardhead out of the way and get the original. So with the original toy, it's considerably larger than our Classics release, but the Classics release has full articulation, as you'd expect. The original does not. The original, if you saw the original review of Pretender Thunderwing, is able to waggle his arms up and down, like so. He's a typical brick, basically. Minimal movement. It's a problem that didn't just plague the Pretenders. It plagued a lot of Transformers at the time. They just were so unmovable, it was ridiculous. You really had to use your imagination with those toys. The Classics release, on the other hand, has everything, as you would expect from a modern release. He can move his legs, move his around, he's moved his arms around, he moved his head around. One thing he can't do is he doesn't have, say the head goes like that, he doesn't have a waist, so he can't move his waist because of the way he transforms. That's perhaps the only thing that's lacking, although it has to be said, you don't often use the waist. Do we? Well, in real life we do, but when you're posing your Transformers, it's mainly the arms and the legs you want to move. It's quite nice to see the different features they've carried over. So the chest armour, they've carried that over, the theme over, the belt, even the samurai elements on him as well. They've all been carried over from the original, updated, and made into the Classics release as well. Classics release is definitely, in my view, better than the original Pretender release. It's not a Pretender, of course, it is just Thunderwing. It doesn't have the inner robot, but it's a really good toy. I'm not sure if it's the best Classics release. I think Hot Rod, or Rodimus, as we've previously seen, is probably a better figure in that it has a little bit of accessories going for it. But this is a very good toy nonetheless. Much, much better than the Classics release of Galvatron, which frankly fails on just about every level. And it's better than the Classics release of Starscream, which is quite a good toy, but it's not as good as this. This one they've gone that little bit extra, particularly updating the original so faithfully. Now there isn't no masterpiece toy yet of Thunderwing, and I hope they do release one. This is a fairly decent substitute, a little bit on the small side if you're looking at a masterpiece style Transformer. He could do with being upscaled. Depends on how large you think Thunderwing is. If you take it from the IDW comics, it probably needs to be half the size again. So it could definitely do with being a bit bigger. But otherwise, it's a really good toy. Nice details, great homage to the original, good posability, and it looks great in robot mode or in play mode. Thank you very much for watching. Please click any comments. Thank you very much for watching. Please leave any comments below. Click on some other videos and subscribe. You can even go about your day on YouTubers anyways. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.